Welcome all you surfers for another week of the CIRF Report, July 29th through August 4th, 2019. And in here we have a new moon. We've got moon in Leo. We've got a bunch of other Leo energy that's coming to the fore. We'll talk about all that. We have a collective unconscious that really is grasping for control. We'll talk about that. And this is our summary slide, by the way. And what we're doing here, if you're new, we're looking for the biggest influence that's going to be affecting all of us, or the biggest probability of all of us feeling a certain energy. We want to know what that energy is. And we triangulate. We triangulate astrology, the collective unconscious through dreams, and then through the I-Ching, an I-Ching reading. So we have all these, and we have overlap. The I-Ching reading is all about possessions of great measure. It's wealth, but there's a lot to this. It's not just being wealthy, but this is all about the Leo energy there, and so it's all inside of the I-Ching is the blue circle, and then the astrology is the purple circle, and we have a lot of astrology to go through. I don't want to drill down right here, but we're going to go through every day in terms of tropical astrology, and we'll give you the influence for each day. But overall, the main influence from astrology is the new moon with Venus. And that's the, now I say with Venus because it's basically a new moon is where the moon is conjunct with the sun, but this one is also conjunct with Venus. And so that brings in some other dynamics. So the great possessing, and by the way, Venus is all about finance as well, not just harmony and balance and love. And so this is a really interesting reading, and we'll get to that later. But we're going to start with the dream bot. We're grasping for control, and by the end, the new moon gives us a new you. But the unexpected new you is coming from Uranus. And let's get into all that next. If you haven't subscribed yet, be sure you do. You don't want to miss any one of these CIRF reports. We have a lot of cool, I don't know, give me another, I think, month max, and I'll be ready to start doing some special interviews. We're going to bring in guests to help us with these CIRF reports and give us more insight about all sorts of different topics that have to do with collective energies. All right, so you don't want to miss a thing. We have the summary slide down here in the lower right. And then let's look at the dream bot. This is the collective unconscious, Carl Jung's. This is your data. The thing that he postulated is that we have a collective mind, and we're reading all these dreams through what's called a dream bot. It comes back and it gives us all the words. So what is everyone dreaming about? Well, predicting and creating is the biggest meme, the red arrows. It's the actual word predictive, and the actual word, I think, creating is on there, causing. So that's kind of creating, approaching. I'm pretty sure that creating was on there, but maybe not. So anyway, predicting and creating. And when we feel like we are losing control of the situation or an unexpected future, we tend to, and I say we because we humans, our psyches, tend to try to predict what's going to happen. And for a lot of us, it always goes to the worst case scenario when we're predicting. But we're also creating, and it's hard to separate these two out. We're always predicting and creating just about everything. We're predicting what other people are going to do and how they're going to behave. We're also creating our own reality, and it's really hard to separate those two. But anyway, it's about the need for control, because you really don't see this if we don't feel like we need to be in control, or if we're good with life, then we tend to not be concerned about the future, not be worried about figuring it out. So there's some worry there by the collective psyche. And we also have, it's not a good or bad aspect here, but it's the big picture. It's beyond the mundane. Galaxy, ascend, question, cross, further. It's like crossing over. It's like coming out of the mundane and seeing the big picture. This is actually goes into the astrology with the Mercury aspects. Remind me later to talk about that. And then a little meme here we have in the collective unconscious is conflict, ammunition. How many days in a row can we see ammunition? And what's so bizarre is there's no increase in the surge score in that word. In fact, only half of our run is in positive territory, and this means that the dreams themselves currently are in a state of regression. It's the collective dreams are imploding at the moment, and this is not unusual. This happens every once in a while, but that's how we tell, is because there's only half the words with positive surge scores. All right, let's move on to Monday. This is the astrology. And let's zoom in, and you can see that there is a whole lot here. I'm actually going to zoom out so you can see that we have a summary of the Uranus squares coming up. The sun is on the 29th, so that's on Monday. It goes, excuse me, still, man, all right. We have the sun going exact on a square, and let me get my little pointer out here and I can show you in detail. The sun in Leo is going to be making a square up to Uranus in Taurus, and that's going exact at 5:14 p.m. on Monday. Now, as most of you know, the sun has been in the orb of a square with Uranus. So we've been having that energy, particularly starting to grow last week. We actually talked about it. But we have Venus also now within the orb, and Venus isn't going to go exact until the end of the week, but we have Moon whipping around here. There's Moon, and as it transits, it's going to make us an exact square with Uranus as well. So we have 3 squares with Uranus. Why does that matter? Well, we've got Uranus loves change and innovation, insight and that kind of thing. But it's unexpected and it's very drastic and sudden. And so a square is not all that harmonious. It tends to bring in obstacles. And so in these squares, we got 3 of them all in the same week. And so this week is about unexpected changes from Uranus. The sun represents our ego, our basic character. So that's going to get a big change. Well, the sun's going into Leo. And Leo loves the limelight and tends to need recognition and is very proud and hardy and not afraid to shine their light. And so a lot of us who maybe are hermits and in the introverted area, we're going to be feeling a lot more confident out in public and not afraid as much and less social anxiety. And you're going to feel that. And that might be the change here. And maybe this square that doesn't feel very good, i.e. social anxiety, is actually a really good thing because it's with Venus. So Venus, let's talk about Venus and that square. Well, Venus is all about harmony and balance and wants to make beauty. And it's about your close relationships. Now, unfortunately, that square means that there's going to be or could be some unexpected changes there. So a disruption of harmony, disruption of balance, disruption of your concept of beauty. So anything that you assume is for harmony, that could come crashing to a halt this week. And then the moon's not there yet, and we're going to talk about that later, but might as well, since I'm covering all the square aspects from Uranus. The moon is our emotional response. So later in the week, i.e. In 2 days on Wednesday, as the new moon is developing, I think just before, it's going to make that square to Uranus. So unexpected changes of your emotional complex, your emotional stability and regulation. So we got three core things with the changes. We have your basic character, your core concept of self, that changes. Venus brings in the relationship and your sense of beauty and art and that kind of thing. That changes. And then as the moon whips around, you're going to feel some unexpected emotional responses and those changes. And then also the moon can represent the public. And so maybe there's some big public opinion that changes unexpectedly this week. All right, now the other thing that I need to talk about is Mercury. Over the context of this week, you're going to see this. It's still in retrograde on Monday, and Mercury is going to go station, meaning it's going to stop its apparent movement compared to Earth, and then it's going to start going direct about a day, 2 days later. But anyway, as it slows down and goes into a station, we got mega more focus. And so this energy is highlighted a lot more. And it's got a nice trine up to Neptune. And so it's an easy route to go to dreams and visions and psychic material. It's almost illusionary, but it's very easy for the mind, which is Mercury, to go thinking about old dreams. Maybe some dreams that never manifested. Maybe it's maybe it's just remembering past experiences. All those are just fantasies. They're not real because they're not happening right now. Then we have an opposition. Mercury has a trine and an opposition, and these aren't exact. Neither one of these are exact, but that energy is there. And the opposition is over to Pluto. Pluto is, again, just like Neptune, kind of that deep, far out. The collective unconscious. The dream bot mentioned the big picture, or the other side. This is part of the other side. Pluto is all about death and regeneration, but transformation. That confirms our newness of this week. So this is going to help us, and we need balance. The opposition means that we need balance between our thinking and communication. Thinking mainly in the past. We need to balance that with the need for transformation. That's Pluto. And the Pluto doesn't really give a crap about your emotional state. It goes into obsessions and extremes, and it does what it needs to do karmically in your life. So it's a really great force, but it's going to make us feel like we need more control. All right, so that all is Monday, and that's just getting started. All right, on Tuesday, now I think I can safely zoom in because I have given you all the data for the squares. Let's start with, let's see here. We've already got the squares. These only get stronger as the week goes on, and then after halfway through the week, it starts getting weaker again. Those are the squares. And then Moon's going to make an exact conjunction with Mercury, still in retrograde on Tuesday. That conjunction's at 9:30. And so the emotions are washed over the thoughts and meshed with. And the thoughts with Mercury retrograde tend to be more into the past experiences. But you've got everything doubles, basically. You've got the Mercury influence doubles with the moon, and it's becoming much more emotional, and emotions can be very strong. And the moon's making some oppositions as well into that conjunction that we've been talking about, Saturn and Pluto. And so kind of highlighting that. And then the moon also makes another trine up to Neptune. So kind of doubling everything that Mercury was. So everything that Mercury was on Monday is now double for a night, because the moon whips around so fast. So everything we talked about on Monday is even stronger on Tuesday. Everything else the same. Now on Wednesday, this is where the new moon is, and I've got a separate slide coming up for that. But I wanted to talk about Mercury going station in Cancer, tropical Cancer. And that's going to be kind of the end of this trine. And so these outlets of Pluto and Neptune, in terms of your thinking, are going to tend to go away here in the next couple of days, because, but this spotlight makes it even stronger for now. That energy, the thoughts are stronger, and thoughts of nurturing, caring in context of old dreams, and reminiscing, and transformation, and I wish I had a new me, and all that. All those are there. That's on Wednesday, and here is the full moon. I'm sorry, did I say full moon? I meant new moon. It's at 9:10 p.m. Central Standard Time, and it's in Leo. You know what? I think that's actually Eastern Time, 9:10 Eastern. It's in Leo. So you can see here moon, Venus, and sun. You're not going to be able to see the moon. That's when it's all dark. But every one of these three is representing a square up to Uranus. And only the moon goes exact on that day. So the emotions should change, should change. And you might be blaming outside experiences for that. But this is how Uranus works. It works into your world so that it produces change. Change in the old context of ancient Chinese I-Ching readings is all about change. And that's how the Book of Changes came in. And that's how life happens. It's not stagnant energies. It's about movement and change. So what's this new moon all about? Well, we've got the Mercury influence changes with the Pluto, especially the Pluto opposition. We've got all three aspects to Uranus. Those are changing. And then just the completion of this moon cycle, this lunar cycle that happens every couple of weeks. We have a new moon. And this is a new cycle in the 30-day-ish period. So lots of different need and changes that are happening. New ways of expressing. Now we're talking about a new moon in Leo. There's new ways of expressing, new ways of seeking pleasure. That's the Leo. Leo likes to seek pleasure. Revolution and creativity. The revolution is mainly Uranus, and creativity is Leo. Sun is also representative of creativity. New core identity, that's the sun, and feelings of pride, that's Leo. But all in context of Venus. So balance, love, and relationships. You're not going to be able to get away from that connection aspect to this new moon because of the Venus influence there. Incidentally, all three of those might be changing at the same time. You want to rewind the tape to Monday to remember what those three different changes represent. All right, so let's go to Thursday, and I'll come back out so you can get the bigger picture. This just still lots going on. Moon making a conjunction with Mars. This is in the afternoon. We have Mercury starting to go direct at 6 o'clock on Thursday, 6 p.m. We have the moon making a trine right after the new moon. You make a moon makes a trine to Jupiter, and Jupiter is abundance, and abundance is shown in the Dreambot, which is the I-Ching, which is coming up next. So we'll talk about that later. But we're emotionally invested towards a new goal. That is the new moon. You become emotionally, that's the moon, committed to a new goal. So the aspect or the yang energy from Leo is encouraging you to create something new. Leo being very creative. And then you've got that abundant, fateful Jupiter aspect, which produces a lot of positive energy, especially on Thursday. Then we get into Friday. Look at this. It's starting to clean up. Not a lot around here. We've already talked about it. Venus goes exact on the square at 4 a.m. with Uranus. So the prime time for a change in harmony or the change in relationships and close partnerships is Friday. But other than that, the moon's not really making many aspects here until Saturday. And you can see the Venus aspect the Venus square is dwindling, and the moon is basically making a whole bunch of different aspects. You've got a square over to Jupiter, you've got a trine up to Saturn, opposition to Neptune, sextile to Mercury. Your emotions are all over the place. That's the point there. And then Sunday, look at that, all clear. No kidding, all clear. And And what a journey, what a journey that we've had in the past couple of months, even. We had a couple of eclipses. We've had all these freaky oppositions over the north and south nodes with Saturn and Pluto. We talked about all that. We talked about the pressure cooker. Then we talked about the breakthrough immediately after the eclipse. This energy is going to be even more refinement, more change. And I think it's going to be glorious if you know how to navigate it. And that's what we're going to talk about next. So this is the I-Ching reading. And we asked for what is the main collective energy. And we asked the I-Ching reading if there was a second hexagram caused by change lines like these, then that second hexagram would be the solution. So this 58 is the solution, meaning that we need to look at what actions are involved in 58 so that you can enjoy the influence. You can make the most of the influence. So why is 14 the great possessing, or possession of great measure? Is that really the main influence? Well, yes. If you go back to the main slide, the summary slide, the I-Ching was, possessing a lot of things and wealth that is commensurate with the Leo energy, and the way that the I-Ching reading reads, it's all about that new moon. It's the new core you, the new self-identity, the new sense of identity, the new character, the new underlying character. So look at this. So those who understand the responsibility that comes with wealth are the ones best fit to maintain it. So it's not just you get a bunch of money and you get a bunch of possessions and that's it. It's being humble. That's the line 6. That's this change line right here. Change line 6, humility. All manifestations are essentially positive, but only if you're displaying humility. Change line 5 talks about arrogance, the risk of inherent with power. When you get more things, or when you get more power, along with it comes the risk of being a target. And that's what this change line 5 is don't show that. Show humility. And don't now that what's so strange is, or so kind of paradoxical, is that the Leo energy is not really humble. And so that's really what the I-Ching is all about. It's showing us the Leo energy, but with a twist. And the twist is be humble. And then service on change line 3. That's this guy right here. Utilization of talent for the highest good. So your intentions matter. Your intentions matter in terms of having that perception of great possessing. Okay, but that was the influence. The solution is the joyous, the lake. When you change these lines, then you get this hexagram. Nothing inspires human spirit more than bliss. Enjoy the feeling of bliss in your life and use it as inspiration to advance. Now, the I-Ching talks about connection. The joyous is about 2 lakes. As you can see, this is what's called Tui. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, but you have 2 of those together. That's a lake on top of a lake. So the Book of Changes talks about if you have one lake, then the water eventually just evaporates up, and then that's the end of the lake until you've got more rain. But a lake with another lake, it's like it never runs dry. And this is like human connection and knowledge. Knowledge is the wealth. So it's converting from 14, this is the material possession, into 58, which is possession of knowledge. And you can only get knowledge with people that inspire you and that keep you challenged and keep you learning new things. So now what's interesting is the solution was about that Mercury aspect. Mercury just happens to be going direct this week. So it's a beautiful thing to start clearing up the mind with this new you. And as Mercury goes direct, New contracts are made, new negotiations can be started. It's all about the new you, but I want to take it to the next level. And I apologize, but I do need to go back into the astrology really quick to show you one thing. Basically, before I show you the summary slides, all this main stuff is happening in Leo, as we talked about. That's no surprise. That's the tropical Leo. But for our solution, and you can look at it in your own life, if you're a sun sign of a certain tropical, then look at the equivalent sidereal to know what the solution is. So for example, if I'm an Aquarius by tropical, my solution is Capricorn. And when I'm the most happiest, when I'm the most fulfilled, I'm doing my solution. So I'm goal oriented, but very practical. Practical matters. And when I'm doing that well, and I'm producing and reaching my objectives, I feel fulfilled in life, even though I'm an Aquarius. You can't take that away from me. You can't convince me that I'm not an Aquarius in terms of tropical. So that's how I use both of these. And so likewise, this new moon is happening in Leo, and we're going to feel that need to express and go out, maybe connect with others and get that knowledge that the I-Ching talked about. But the solution is a sidereal, and it's Cancer. And Cancer is very caring and can be very sensitive. Now, all of these zodiac signs, both tropical and sidereal, can have risks and have downsides. And the downside to Cancer is it kind of get moody and pessimistic, and we don't want to do that. We want a clean combination between a humble Leo. It's the humble Leo. So Cancer is more of the humbleness. It tends to be more sensitive and homebound and home loving. Cancer is the home. And being sensitive to the other side, Cancer being a water sign. And so you have access to the bigger picture, the other side. And the bigger picture being maybe higher self or spirit or the higher power in your belief system. All right. So being in tune with all that and knowing what the bigger picture is. So when these unexpected changes happen, it's not so devastating. You don't have to stay in control. All right. So let's go to the summary slides. This is what the collective unconscious appears to be doing. We are addicted to control. And it's no wonder that Uranus is coming up with 3 squares this week. So this sensation that there's something unexpected happening. And yes, we want more control. So we're going to be predicting and trying to create our own reality. But that's not the answer. The answer is to just be humble with what you have. Notice that is your power. Focus on you, nurture you, self-help yourself, and love thyself. And with that, you're going to get the best bang for this new moon energy. Here is intervention. I didn't do the last slide correctly because that one is National Dream Center. If you like these social media slides, then go to the Facebook or Instagram page of the one that you like the best. The intervention one is the one that gives you the influence and the solution. And just a little reminder that the influence is the new moon conjunct Venus and the triple squares. But the solution is positive connections. So you have that Venus connection with the I-Ching. Silver lining, meaning see the glass half full, not half empty. Caring for yourself, that's the Cancer side of things. Being grateful and humble for what you do have. And by that, karmically, you, according to the I-Ching, will have more. All right? And intentions matter. All right. I don't think there's any more slides. Does anybody have any questions? This is not a live one, but if you have comments, please include those below. I appreciate you being here. Thank you so much for everything and all the support that everybody is providing. Have a great week, everybody. And I'm going to try to put out another refined reading on Wednesday for that new moon for you, or actually probably on Tuesday night. So take care, and we'll see you soon.